Hey, my name is Alvin Lau, and we're going to talk about customized discipleship. Do you remember the Big Mac commercials back in the 70s? You know, 2 beef patties, sesame seed bun, lettuce, tomato, onions, and that secret sauce. But nowadays, go into any McDonald's, head up to the kiosk, and you can select your Big Mac whatever way you want. Now, for some people, when they think of discipleship, they think there's only one way to do it, kind of like a Big Mac. But really, there's lots of different ways that we can approach discipleship. And really, we want to try to provide things in such a way that makes sense to that individual. Because at the end of the day, that's what discipleship is. It's helping that person to understand who God is transforming them to be. And how exactly is God saying that to them and unpacking it with them. We're not looking about content, we're looking about approach. Because customize is really about how do you help that person individually understand who they are. So while this may not be the only way that you might be able to approach discipleship, here's one thing that we're going to look at for the next few moments. We're going to see what it means to disciple the whole person, their heart, their mind, and their soul. So for this first part, let's take a look at a person's soul. Sometimes people see that as the holistic part of the person's being. And one way to look at that is through their shape, their spiritual gifts, their heart, their attitude, their personality, and their experiences. And if you're not familiar with some of these terms, take a look right now through Google and explore what that means. So you might be familiar with Psalm 139, verses 13 to 16, and this is what it says. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know them full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. Because the fact is that every one of us is uniquely made. And so when we look at discipleship, we will look at a person's shape. We want to help them discover how God has uniquely made them. All right, so let's move on to the mind. There's a gentleman named Dr. Howard Gardner who suggests there's at least 8 different ways a person processes information. And so let's take a look at those 8 different ways now. Musical, through rhythm and patterns. Visual spatial, like images and pictures. Linguistic verbal, through words, whether read or spoken. Logical mathematical, through systematic approaches. Bodily kinesthetic, through movements, very hands-on. Interpersonal, working it out with another person. Intrapersonal, unpacking through self-reflection. Naturalistic, through creation's natural ecosystems. So the point here is to understand how does that disciple learn best? How do we frame that content so that it resonates with them and how they think and process? So here's an example. Let's say you have a person who may be very interpersonal in how they process information. And so to help them to talk it through, to give them opportunities just to brainstorm out loud is very helpful. Whereas if there's a person who uses intrapersonal intelligence better, you need to give them some time and space to internally reflect on what exactly they're experiencing and then provide them an opportunity later to express that. So let's move on to the heart. Dr. Gary Chapman coined the term love languages, 5 different ways a person receives love. And those 5 are words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, physical touch, and gifts. And so one way to look at it is not necessarily looking through the language of love, but maybe one way to look at it is through care and appreciation. Because let's face it, 12-year-old guys don't want to talk about love. But love is really key here still. Because every person is asking the question, do I belong? Whether it's part of a church or part of a family. And so one of the key things about love language is for us to express care and appreciation to them in a way that makes sense to them, in a way that resonates with them. So a quick recap. We spent a few moments helping that person to discover their shape, to understand their multiple intelligence, and to embrace their love language. Because one of the great things about this is that it provides that disciple words to express what they're experiencing as God is transforming them. But also helps us as disciplers to be able to share truth in such a powerful way, in a way that makes sense to them the most. Go back to when we looked at Psalm chapter 139, especially verse 14. The author here recognizes that he is fearfully and wonderfully made. He knows that himself. And so, as you continue to walk alongside, whether it's your children or others that you are discipling, may you also help them to see that they are fearfully and wonderfully made. Because God has. How they are unique in how God is transforming them. So blessings to you as you walk alongside them, to discover their shape, to discover how they learn, and to know that they are loved.